let's start. Hi everyone. I hope I'm perfectly audible to you guys. So without wasting any single minute, we can start with today's analysis session. So today is 20th of May 2026 and we'll start with the first major news headline for the day. And it is basically an extension of something that we already discussed in yesterday's newspaper, but we'll discuss it again so that you might get a brief clarity on the same. So let's start with our discussion now. Okay, so let's start with our hi everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is 20th of May 2026, and I'd like to repeat myself. This is just an extension of yesterday's news item that we discussed in detail. It's about Section 43D, Clause 5 of the UAPA Act 1967. And what is Section 43D, Clause 5 of uh, you know UAPA Act 1967? Anyone who'd like to give me a brief insight about Section 43D, Clause 5? Section 43D, Clause 5. Anyone? So let's start with this particular article. So yesterday we covered one important case where we discussed that the Supreme Court of India allowed or granted bail to a person who was who was in custody under the UAPA Act of 1967. narco terror के उसके ऊपर allegations थे and he was in custody for 5 years, right? So basically in that particular discussion we said that when it comes to Article 21 and 22 of the Indian Constitution, no particular law can supersede Article 21 and 22 of the Indian Constitution. And what is Article 21? Article 21 talks about right to life and personal liberty, that no one can take your life and personal liberty except the procedure established by law, whereas Article 22 talks about the rights of the arrested person, right? So in that particular context, we know that Article 21 is right to life, and Article 22 is rights of arrested person, right? And that's the beauty of fundamental rights. Even arrested and detained persons have been given certain fundamental rights. Now moving on to the next important point. And what is Section 43D, Clause 5 of the UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of 1967? Anyone who'd like to give me a brief idea about Section 43D, Clause 5 of UAPA 1967? Anyone of you who'd like to tell me what is Section 43D, Clause 5? Yesterday we had a very long discussion about it. Section 43D, Clause 5 of UAPA Act 1967. So basically, when Section 43D, Clause 5 says that if there is a presumption, or sorry, I mean if there are reasonable grounds. Now I have just written a small portion of Section 43D, Clause 5. This is just a hint for you. Anyone who'd like to tell me what is Section 43D, Clause 5? I'm waiting for your response, students. Section 43D, Clause 5. So basically, if there are reasonable grounds, reasonable grounds of what? If there are reasonable grounds, I'm waiting for your answer. If there are reasonable grounds to believe that the accused was involved in the commission of said offense, then court can deny the bail. Then court can deny the bail. Now students, मैं आपके सामने सारे प्रोविजंस लिख दे रहा हूं जो इस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक के लिए रेलेवेंट है हमारे लिए. सारे प्रोविजंस मैं लिख दे रहा हूं. Right, so yes, exactly, it shifts burden of proof, right? So basically section 43d clause 5 of the UAPA Act 1967 says this, that it required a court to deny bail if there are reasonable ground to believe that the accused was involved in the commission of the offense, or prima facie जो allegations लगे हैं accused के against वो true हैं, right? So this is section 43d clause 5 of UAPA 1967. और अभी तक जो section 43 का interpretation था, it used to override article 21 and 22 of the Indian Constitution. So yesterday we discussed a very important case, and what was the title of the case? Syed Iftikhar Andrabi versus NIA जम्मू, जिसमें हम लोगों ने ये देखा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक डिवीजन बेंच ने क्या किया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट की एक डिवीजन बेंच ने अलाउ कर दिया बेल. सुप्रीम कोर्ट granted bail to Syed Iftikhar Andrabi, stating that no specific statute or law in India can override Article 21 and 22 of the Indian Constitution. These are essential fundamental rights, and no statute can override these specific provisions, right? अब पूरा का पूरा जो सेक्शन 43d क्लॉज 5 का कॉन्सेप्ट था वो क्या करता था, इट शिफ्ट्स burden of proof to accused. Now what do we understand by this phrase that it used to shift burden of proof to accused? So basically इसका मतलब ये है कि नॉर्मल जो क्रिमिनल केसेस होते हैं उसमें प्रोसिक्यूशन के ऊपर बर्डन ऑफ प्रूफ रहता है, दैट prosecution has to prove that the accused was involved in the commission of the said offense. But when we talk about offenses committed under section offenses committed under UAPA 1967 and specifically section 43d clause 5, तो section 43d clause 5 क्या कहता था कि accused को prove करना होगा before the court of law that he was not involved in the commission of the offense. Prima facie जो उस पे allegations लगे हैं, those allegations are not true. This is the responsibility of the accused to prove before the court of law, right? So ये पूरा का पूरा current proposition है section 43d clause 5 of UAPA Act 1967 से लेकर के अभी तक जो mostly cases होते थे उसमें bail grant नहीं की जाती थी, but the Supreme Court of India day before yesterday granted bail to Mr. Syed Iftikhar Adrani. I guess his name is Syed Iftikhar Andrabi. Syed Iftikhar Andrabi को bail grant कर दी. He was allegedly involved in the commission of an offense, narco terror का offense था जिसमें वो involved था, right? Now moving on to the next particular point. अब हम current context में इसको क्यों discuss कर रहे हैं? So Delhi police has moved to the Supreme Court of India and they have asked the Supreme Court to review UAPA bail terms which were laid down by the Supreme Court day before yesterday in the case of Syed Iftikhar Andrabi versus NIA Jammu. अब दिल्ली पुलिस को ये क्या जरूरत पड़ गई कि उनको सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास जाना पड़ा है और उनको बोलना पड़ा कि भाई आप अपने जजमेंट को या आपने जो बेल यूएपीए के अंडर जो बेल ग्रांट की जाती है उसके लिए जो आपने टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस ले डाउन की उनको आप रिव्यू करिए. व्हाई दिल्ली पुलिस हैज why the Delhi police has took this particular step that they went to the Supreme Court of India और उन्होंने बोल दिया कि भाई आप अपना जजमेंट जो है वो रिव्यू करिए, right? So the reason is that Delhi riot cases में दो accused हैं, शर्जील इमाम and उमर खालिद. These two individuals are in jail for last 5.5 years and the trial is yet to commence. Trial abhi tak start nahi hua, trial is yet to commence. And the second important point is even the charge sheet has not been filed. They have filed multiple bail petitions before the Delhi High Court and also before the Supreme Court, and every time the court has said कि prima facie हमें लगता है that these two individuals were involved in the commission of the alleged offense, so we cannot allow bail to these two guys, right? सो बेसिकली सेक्शन 43D क्लॉज 5 भी यही कहता है ना कि अगर कोर्ट को लगता है कि अक्यूज्ड के अगेंस्ट प्राइमा फेसी जो एलिगेशंस लगे हैं वो ट्रू हैं, तो द कोर्ट शैल डिनाई द बेल. नाउ द वर्ड विच इज यूज्ड इन सेक्शन 43D क्लॉज 5 इज शैल, राइट, वो भी यहाँ पर डिस्कस किया गया, राइट. सो नॉर्मली देयर इज अ वेरी वेल सेटल्ड प्रिंसिपल in the criminal law that bail is rule, jail is an exception, right? Because if you are keeping a particular person behind the bars and you don't have, you know, substantial grounds, then it is basically the violation of fundamental rights. आप उसके बहुत सारे fundamental rights को क्या करते हैं, इनवैलिडेट करते हैं, उसको आप वायलेट करते हैं, राइट. सो दैट्स वाई इन द करंट केस दिल्ली पुलिस जो है वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास में गई है और उन्होंने बोला कि भाई आपने जो ये बेल टर्म्स सैयद इफ्तिकार अंद्राबी के केस में किए हैं इसको रिव्यू करिए, राइट. नाउ इवन इन सो डे बिफोर यस्टरडे द सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड बेल इज रूल, जेल इज एन एक्सेप्शन, is also applicable when it comes to the offenses committed under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Now when there is a presumption in law as contained in section 43D clause 5 of the UAPA, which is mandatory presumption, and the word used is shall, then the presumption of innocence of the accused takes a back seat. That aspect has been lost, he said. So what is the current stand of the Delhi police? तो Delhi police ने साफ साफ बोला है भाई सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने oral arguments में कि when it comes to a presumption and the word which has been used in section 43D clause 5 of the UAPA 1967, the word is shall. So when we talk about the words shall, जब वर्ड का हम यूज करते हैं तो इसका मतलब होता है कि कोर्ट के पास में जो डिस्क्रिप्शन है वो खत्म हो चुका है. मे वर्ड का अगर यूज किया गया, इट मींस दैट द कोर्ट हैज द डिस्क्रिप्शन. when the word is used, the word is shall, then there is no discretion which has been given to the court, right? So in this particular argument the Delhi police has said the same thing, that the word which is used in section 43D clause 5 is shall, which makes it mandatory, which makes it a mandatory presumption that if there are certain, you know, evidences which suggest that the accused was involved in the commission of the offense, then each and every time the court has to deny the bail, right? Now this is something which is very important. Now when we talk about this entire idea of UAPA 1967, one of the most historic judgment was given by the Supreme Court of India in 2021 in the case of Union of India versus KA Najib. Now Union of India versus K. Najib. This judgment was given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in 2021. And what was said in Union of India versus K. Najib, और इसी को कल extend किया है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपने लेटेस्ट जजमेंट में सैयद इफ्तिकार अंद्राबी वर्सेस एनआईए में. सो बेसिकली व्हाट वाज सेड बाय द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया इन यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया वर्सेस के नजीब, प्लीज बी वेरी मेटिकुलस. द सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड when there is a delay in trial, when there is a delay in trial and the person in custody is in jail for a very long period of time, then this particular situation can override section 43D clause 5 of UAPA 1967. These are the two conditions which has been set aside by the Supreme Court in Union of India versus K. Najib. And what are these two conditions? First condition is if there is delay in trial. Second, the person is in jail or the person is in custody for a very long period of time. If these two conditions are met, then सेक्शन 43D क्लॉज 5 का जो स्टैट्यूटरी ऑब्लिगेशन है या स्टैट्यूटरी बार जो है, दैट बार वुड बी लिफ्टेड एंड आर्टिकल 21 and 20 विल बी गिवन मोर preference. Now this particular explanation was accepted by the Supreme Court of India in the judgment given day before yesterday. और इसी को लेकर के दिल्ली पुलिस अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट गई और उन्होंने बोला है कि प्लीज आप अपने जजमेंट को रिव्यू करिए. एंड एज फार एज दिस पर्टिकुलर जजमेंट इज कंसर्न्ड, व्हेन देयर इज अ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन फंडामेंटल राइट्स एंड स्टैट्यूटरी लॉ, नॉर्मल वेल सेटल्ड प्रिंसिपल यही है कि फंडामेंटल राइट्स को ज्यादा प्रेफरेंस दी जाती है. द रीजन इज वेरी सिंपल, बिकॉज इन 1973 द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया गेव वन ऑफ द मोस्ट हिस्टोरिक डॉक्ट्रिन in the Indian judicial history, and the doctrine is known as a doctrine of basic structure. And what is doctrine of basic structure? Anything and everything which is the part of doctrine of basic structure cannot be altered or changed by any particular institution. and fundamental rights are part of the basic structure doctrine, so they cannot be altered or changed. So the priority has to be given to these fundamental rights. Now moving on to the next article that we have to discuss. Now within a week there is a there's a very important news. The government owned oil companies have increased the prices of petroleum products in India by 90 paisa. So earlier this week the prices were increased by 3 rupees. Now the prices are increased by another 90 paisa. So I told you when we were having this particular discussion, it requires a court to deny bail if there was a reasonable ground to believe that the case was against the accused is prima facie true. Absolutely correct, Aditi and Vivek. The presumption of innocence until proven guilty changes to guilty until proven innocent. Absolutely fine. Hi Ran. Hi everyone. So yeah, you guys have said it absolutely correct. The normal criminal principle is innocent until proven guilty, but when it comes to section 43D clause 5 or UAPA 1967, this particular proposition changes to guilty until proven innocent, and burden of proof entirely shifts to accused, right? So I already told you when we are having this particular discussion कि जब हम हरदीप सिंह पुरी का एक statement discuss करें, तो I told you that within a week the government will hike the prices again, right? So this time the hike is of 90 paisa, and this is going to create, and this is not going to end here. The government will keep on increasing the prices in upcoming 2 weeks. You can see another hike, and this time the hike might be of 2 to 3 rupees again. गवर्नमेंट एक बार में प्राइसेस इसलिए नहीं बढ़ा रही क्योंकि अगर एक बार में प्राइसेस बढ़ाएगी ना तो लोगों के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा लोड होगा. अब धीरे धीरे प्राइस बढ़ाएंगे 3 रुपए 4 रुपए 90 पैसे 1 रुपए, तो लोग उस प्रेशर को धीरे धीरे एब्जॉर्व करते रहेंगे, राइट? सो दिस इज अ कॉमन स्ट्रैटेजी अडॉप्टेड बाय the government. Now moving on to the next point. Now this Nordic summit, third Nordic summit is finally concluded, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Oslo to participate in the third Nordic summit. And we know how important these Nordic countries are for India because of the changing geopolitical situation and because of the multipolar world. जिसके अगेंस्ट अभी सबसे multipolar world के अगेंस्ट सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन कौन है? Who is the biggest enemy against the multipolar world? Anyone who would like to answer my question? Who is the biggest enemy against the multipolar world? And you can guess it. Absolutely, he is a 78-year-old fellow from United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump, right? He always believes कि भाई यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका का पूरा 20th सेंचुरी में डोमिनेंस था, तो 21st सेंचुरी में सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो सेंटर ऑफ अट्रैक्शन है वो कौन होना चाहिए? यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. Right, exactly. You guys are absolutely correct. I'll come back to you, Ryan. I'll come back to you. Just wait for a minute. I'll come back to you. Your question is in my mind. ठीक है. So now, so basically, India is finding, or India is looking for the alternatives of United States of America, and we have to do it very precisely. DJ Trump, right? Donald Jr. Trump, right? Absolutely correct. And in that context, अब हम थोड़ा सा Nordic Summit के बारे में हम लोग वैसे discuss कर चुके हैं, but let's discuss something about Nordic Summit as well. Now, I'm looking for your comments. Right, I'm just third Nordic Summit 2026, venue Oslo, and which are the 5 countries जो Nordic group का part है? Anyone who would like to answer my question? Nordic countries हम कौन सी 5 countries को बोलते हैं? Which 5 countries? So Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway and Sweden. और नॉर्वे में प्राइम मिनिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी को बहुत एक ऑकवर्ड सिचुएशन भी फेस करनी पड़ गई. अगर आप लोग फॉलो कर रहे होंगे तो आपको पता होगा. जर्नलिस्ट आस्क्ड मिस्टर मोदी कि we are the freest, this was the exact statement, that we are the freest press in the world, so would you like to answer a few questions? And we have a ranking of 157 in the World Press Freedom Index. So that was a quite awkward situation for मिस्टर मोदी. और जैसा होता है मिस्टर मोदी ने अवॉइड किया वो कि भाई हम आंसर नहीं करेंगे, राइट? सो फर्स्ट 2 सबमिट्स कहाँ पे हुई? फर्स्ट सबमिट टुक प्लेस इन 2018. सेकेंड, थर्ड, फर्स्ट सबमिट हुई थी स्टॉकहोम में। मैं फटाफट आप लोग को एक ओवरव्यू दे दे रहा हूँ, क्योंकि आप लोगों ने बोला था कि सर अगर हम कोई टॉपिक डिस्कस करते हैं और अगर उसको हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं तो आप प्लीज उसका एक ओवरव्यू दे दिया करिए। हम इसीलिए मैं आपको एक ओवरव्यू दे रहा हूँ इसका। कोपेनहेगन, and the third one is in 2026. There is a gap of 4 years. Third one is in Oslo. Last year 2025 में submit होने वाली थी, but because of the Pahalgam attack the submit couldn't take place, right? Now the important theme of this particular summit was, what was the theme? So theme of this third Nordic summit was transform historical relations into green strategic partnership. Right, so this is the theme of this particular summit, is also important. Now moving on to the next point. Right, now moving on to the next point. So what you comment on Norwegian newspaper cartoon of Pimodi as snake charmer and snake symbolizes as pet rule? And afterwards the MEA officer wasn't able to answer her question and reiterating about the civilization of India. Right, see, now let me tell you one very important thing. The cartoon which you are talking about, I have seen that cartoon, and just like just like our Prime Minister, I'd like to make no comment on that. That would be the safest possible option for me. So I hope I have not disappointed you, Aditi, in that particular context कि भाई अब उस पे क्या comment कर सकते, right? वो दुनिया का सबसे free press उनके पास में. We are at 157th place. So we are in no position to make a comment on a country which is at number 1, and we are at 157, right? So this is something which is very now so the summit is has finally concluded in Oslo, and the summit was concluded on 19th. 4-day summit था, finally conclude हो चुका है. 5 countries के leader थे और काफी important summit थी Indian perspective से. TVK government committed to 2-language policy in Tamil Nadu. So you know, right now a 3-language policy is in very much discussion, is, you know, is very one of the most discussed policy as of now when it comes to education, and that is a 3-language policy. And the government of Tamil Nadu, and specifically the Minister for School Education, has said, Mr. Raj Mohan has said that the government of Tamilgavitri Kajigam will strictly follow a 2-language policy, and in you know, in Tamil Nadu these two languages are English and Tamil, right? So now again, look at the impact of West Asian conflict on India. Finally finally all the impacts are very much visible, because अब जो इन्वेंट्री थी हमारी, वो इन्वेंट्री क्या हो चुकी है, डिप्लीट होना शुरू हो चुकी है. इसी वजह से क्या है कि इम्पैक्ट जो है वो, दीज इम्पैक्ट्स आर क्वाइट विजिबल. एंड नाउ द एग्रीकल्चर मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया, मिस्टर शिवराज सिंह चौहान, who is also the former chief minister of Madhya Pradesh, has asked the farmers of this country to shift towards the organic farming, because this is becoming quite difficult for the union government to procure fertilizers during these type of environment, during given the current environment, because the current environment is quite shaky and government is facing a lot of problems to procure fertilizers. Now the government has also made one important observation, that at this point of time, with the government is procuring you know, fertilizers from 28 countries, and that in that specific context the government is trying to expand its portfolio so that there is a long-term availability of fertilizers in India. And students, at the same time, we have to understand that when it comes to India, we are a krishi pradhan desh. We are a krishi pradhan desh. हमें हमेशा बोला जाता है that farmers are the backbone of this country. So to provide them, or to give them the most you know, comfortable environment, the government is trying to procure fertilizers from multiple countries. Now moving on to the next important discussion that we have to conclude. Hope India can push for Ukraine truce, Norway Prime Minister. So basically, the Prime Minister of Norway, Jonas Gahr Store, has given a very important responsibility to India, because we share very good relations with Russia. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shares a great bond with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. So he has said कि भाई now we know this, and multiple times Volodymyr Zelensky has also said that India can play a very important role when it comes to Ukraine Russia conflict, which is going on since February 2022. 4 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए उस war को. Now the same position has been asserted by the Prime Minister of Norway, that India can push for a Ukraine truce. And this year in September 2026, the President of Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin, will be visiting India to participate in BRICS summit, and that summit could play a very important role, because there are chances that Xi Jinping would be traveling to India to participate in BRICS summit, because last year जब SCO summit हुआ था तो इंडियन प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने उसमें पार्टिसिपेट किया था, और उन्होंने ब्रिक्स समिट का जो इनविटेशन था वो एक्सटेंड किया था जी जिनपिंग को. एंड जी जिनपिंग सेड कि वी विल इंश्योर कि इंडिया में जो ब्रिक्स समिट हो रही है इट बिकम्स वेरी सक्सेसफुल. सो द सक्सेस कुड ओनली बी इंश्योर्ड आफ्टर द पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ मिस्टर पुतिन. और अभी जो ब्रिक्स फॉरेन मिनिस्टर्स मीट हुआ था उसमें चाइना के जो फॉरेन मिनिस्टर थे वांग ही कुडंट पार्टिसिपेट बिकॉज ऑफ द शेड्यूलिंग इश्यूज, क्योंकि उसी टाइम पर क्या था, उसी टाइम पर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप भी चाइना विजिट कर रहे थे, इस वजह से वो पार्टिसिपेट नहीं कर पाए थे. ठीक है. सो नाउ दिस कैन नाउ मोदी स्किप्स क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम प्रेस स्टोर्स इज डिफरेंट traditions, right? So I mean a lot of criticism, a lot of people criticize Narendra Modi for this, that he is in power since 2014. It's been 12 years and a month now, but he never took any kind of questions from प्रेस. तो इसके लिए इनको बहुत ज्यादा क्रिटिसाइज किया जाता है, तो उसमें देयर इज नथिंग न्यू. नाउ शांति एक्ट लाइबिलिटी एब्सर्डली लो. There was a petition filed in the Supreme Court of India, and it is related to the newly constituted Shanti Act. Now, can anyone from this class tell me what is Shanti Act? Anyone? What is Shanti Act? So basically, students, when we talk about Shanti Act, so let's talk about Shanti Act. So Shanti Act के बारे में भी हम थोड़ा सा ये डिस्कस कर लेते हैं. So Shanti Act 2025, and it is going to be a very important topic for your CLAT 2027, because we know this कि हमेशा से consortium of NLUs ने either they have asked a judgment or a particular particular legislature. Just give me a minute. Right, so let's come back to our discussion now. So Shanti Act के बारे में हम थोड़ा सा डिस्कशन कर लेते हैं. So let's start with our discussion now related to the Shanti Act. So Shanti Act is basically it has opened nuclear energy sector for private companies, including foreign corporations as well. Right, now let's talk about Shanti Act. So शांति का मतलब क्या है? अभी शांति अगर हम इस टर्म को एक्सपैंड करें, सस्टेनेबल हार्नेसिंग एंड एडवांसमेंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी. राइट, सस्टेनेबल हार्नेसिंग एंड एडवांसमेंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी. Sustainable harnessing for advancement of nuclear energy, for transforming for transforming India. Now, students, when we talk about any specific legislation, अगर उसका कोई एब्रीविएशन है तो उसका फुल फॉर्म बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. जैसे जब हमने वीबीजी राम जी के बारे में डिस्कस किया, सो दीज फुल फॉर्म्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट. सो शांति एक्ट का फुल फॉर्म आप प्लीज याद रखेंगे. सस्टेनेबल हार्नेसिंग फॉर एडवांसमेंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी फॉर ट्रांसफॉर्मिंग इंडिया इज द फुल फॉर्म ऑफ शांति एक्ट. नाउ it is a legislative framework that overhaul India's nuclear energy laws, right? Absolutely correct. And Shanti Act 2025, it will replace the Atomic Energy Act, the Atomic Energy Act of 1962. अब स्टूडेंट्स, द एटॉमिक एनर्जी एक्ट 1962 क्या है? एटॉमिक एनर्जी एक्ट 1962 is basically it's about the Atomic Energy Act 1962 allowed only government companies or the public corporations to develop nuclear energy or to produce nuclear energy. So this is we have to understand the Atomic Energy Act of 1962 is now replaced with Shanti Act 2025. Now moving on to the next important factor that we have to understand now. तो अब इंडिया में प्राइवेट कॉर्पोरेशंस जो हैं वो क्या कर सकती हैं? जो प्राइवेट कॉर्पोरेशंस हैं वो भी अब न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी को मैन्युफैक्चर कर सकते हैं, उसको प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं. अब गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया कि शांति एक्ट 2025 के अंडर में क्या किया उन्होंने, जो लाइबिलिटी है उस लाइबिलिटी को फिक्स कर दिया है. नाउ द लाइबिलिटी हैज बीन फिक्स्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. नाउ दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी सेंसिटिव बिकॉज न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी इन इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी Himanshu, because of the operational issues, the class was delayed, right? So we are extremely sorry for that. But again, focusing on the current aspect, अब न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी अपने आप में बहुत एक सेंसिटिव चीज होती है कि क्योंकि उसका जो पूरा प्लांट होता है, उसकी जो ऑपरेशनल कैपेबिलिटीज होती है, उसमें जितनी भी चीजें इन्वॉल्व होती हैं वो उसको बहुत सेंसिटिव बना देती हैं, बिकॉज यूरेनियम इन इटसेल्फ इज अ वेरी सेंसिटिव मटेरियल. तो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया कि लाइबिलिटी फिक्स कर दी है, 3000 या 3500 करोड़ के आसपास में लाइबिलिटी फिक्स कर दी है कि अगर किसी तरीके की अनफोर्सीन सिचुएशन होती है तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक मैक्सिमम कैप गवर्नमेंट ने फिक्स कर दिया कि सिर्फ और सिर्फ इतना ही पेमेंट या इतना ही कॉम्पनसेशन कंपनीज को देना पड़ेगा. Now, this is something which is very important for us to understand, that how could the government fix the upper limit of the compensation which would be provided by the companies if there is some kind of unforeseen situation, because you don't know the quantum of that damage. You don't know how severe the damage would be, right? So this is something which we have to understand. If the government is not sure, or let's forget about the government, no one in this world is sure about the catastrophe which a nuclear power plant could cause, right? So how could the government anticipate it and fix an upper limit कि आप इससे ज्यादा compensation allowed नहीं करेंगे? And in India we have seen in 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. At that particular time we never had the concept of absolute liability, राइट. तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एब्सोल्यूट लाइबिलिटी का पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट डिवाइस किया और फिर जितने भी विक्टिम्स थे भोपाल गैस ट्रेजेडी के, उनको ऑलमोस्ट 3-4,000 करोड़ रुपीस का जो कॉम्पनसेशन था वो दिया गया. 300 या 400 मिलियन डॉलर का कॉम्पनसेशन दिया, राइट. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे the Supreme Court can do a lot of things, but the Supreme Court can only interpret the law. If the law is saying that if there is some kind of catastrophe, then the company has to pay this much of money. तो उस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन को इसी पर्टिकुलर क्लॉज को चैलेंज किया गया सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, दैट हाउ द गवर्नमेंट कुड फिक्स एन अपर लिमिट ऑन द कॉम्पनसेशन इफ देयर इज सम अनफोर्सीन सर्कमस्टांसेस और अनफोर्सीन सिचुएशन, राइट. अब न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट के बारे में आप कुछ फैक्ट्स आप याद रख सकते हैं विच आर विच अगर ये शांति एक्ट 2025 आपसे पूछा गया तो ये सारे अलग अलग जो फैक्ट्स हैं या क्वेश्चंस हैं, ये फैक्ट्स हैं वो क्वेश्चन के फॉर्म में आपसे पूछे जा सकते हैं. नाउ हु इज नोन एज फादर ऑफ इंडियाज न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम? Now these are the questions which you have to answer in the comment section. Who is known as father of India's nuclear program? Anyone? Who is known as father of India's nuclear program? Come on, answer my question. Who is known as father of India's nuclear program? So Dr. Homi Jahangir Bhabha is known as father of India's nuclear program. Next one is India's current nuclear production capacity, nuclear energy production capacity is 8.8 gigawatt, and by 2047 we have a target of 100 gigawatt. And from 8.8 gigawatt to 100 gigawatt will require an additional investment of approximately 200 billion US dollars. So that's why the government of India has opened this entire nuclear energy sector for the private companies, because it is in this particular sector requires an investment of 200 billion dollars. So ये private companies ही invest करेंगी. अब इंडिया में टोटल न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट्स कितने हैं? हाउ मेनी न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट्स आर देयर इन इंडिया? हाउ मेनी ऑपरेशनल न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट्स आर देयर इन इंडिया? I hope you are getting my question. How many operational nuclear power plants are there in India? Right. So at this point of time, we have 7 nuclear power plants and 24 nuclear reactors. Now, students, this fact is very important. There is a difference between a nuclear power plant and a nuclear reactor. न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर बेसिकली क्या होता है? वो जो आप चिमनी जैसा स्ट्रक्चर देखते हैं ना, वो आपका एक न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर होता है. सो एक पर्टिकुलर पावर प्लांट में मल्टीपल रिएक्टर्स हो सकते हैं. सो वी एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी हैव 7 न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट्स एंड 24 न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स. टोटल प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी इज 8.8 gigawatt, and by 2047 we want to take it to 100 gigawatt, and to achieve this particular target we require an investment of 200 billion US dollars. That's why the government of India has opened the entire sector for the private companies, so that they can make a lot of investment in this particular sector. Right, not 25, it's 24. आप न्यूक्लियर पावर कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया लिमिटेड की वेबसाइट पे जाकर के देख सकते हैं. कुंदाकुलम न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट में जो 3rd यूनिट है उनका, इट इज येट टू बिकम ऑपरेशनल. लास्ट ईयर जब व्लादिमीर पुतिन इंडिया में विजिट किया था उन्होंने, तो उन्होंने बोला था कि वो जो 3rd यूनिट है कुंदाकुलम न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट का, उसके लिए जो न्यूक्लियर फ्यूल होगा वो रशिया ही प्रोवाइड करेगा. ठीक है. नाउ talking about Kundakulam nuclear power plant, there is an important fact related to Kundakulam nuclear power plant. Kundakulam nuclear power plant is biggest in India, and it contributes almost 25%. हमारा जो टोटल 20%, हमारी जो टोटल न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी है उसका 20% सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुंदाकुलम न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट से आता है. एंड कुंदाकुलम न्यूक्लियर पावर प्लांट इज इन तमिलनाडु. इसका जो 3rd यूनिट है वो ऑपरेशनल होने वाला है, और उसके लिए जो न्यूक्लियर फ्यूल होगा दैट वुड बी प्रोवाइडेड बाय इंडिया, रशिया. India buys a lot of crude oil from Russia, right? ऐसा नहीं है कि India is not buying crude oil from Russia. We are buying a lot of crude oil from Russia. And अभी तो United States of America has lifted the sanctions on the crude oil prices as well, on the crude oil. So अभी हम बहुत सारा crude oil वहाँ से खरीद रहे हैं. This is a very false narrative that we are not buying crude oil from Russia. We are buying. We are one of the largest buyer of the Russian crude oil in the world, right? So this is something which we have to understand. First indigenously built, right? Absolutely correct, right? So अभी आप ये बता दीजिए, just one important question. Are you guys, you guys are getting my point ना? समझ में आ रही हैं चीजें? अगर हाँ है तो फिर आप chat box में बता दीजिए, so that we can move to the editorial section, right? और फिर जब ये पिटिशन फाइल किया गया सुप्रीम कोर्ट में, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पूछा है कि वेदर द पिटिशनर इज चैलेंजिंग द एंटायर एक्ट और स्पेसिफिक सेक्शन which have fixed the upper limit when it comes to a catastrophe, any specific catastrophe, right? So anyone getting my point? हाँ, अरे आप फटाफट बता दीजिए, so that we can move to the next point, right? Now moving on to the next point. Delhi court dismisses Umar Khalid's petition seeking bail for 15 days. So Delhi court ने वापस से उमर खालिद और शर्जील इमाम, वही 2 लोग हैं जो 2020 से जेल में, उनका एक और पिटिशन था उसको डिसमिस कर दिया. Now a China US summit that drew global attention. So right, and this article is authored by, now see, when we read any article, मैं हमेशा आपको author के बारे में जरूर बताता हूँ ना. So there is a reason why I always tell you about the author of that particular article. So you will, by just looking at the name of the author, you will understand that वो article किस तरफ tilted होगा. Now this particular article is authored by Mr. Zhu Fiong, who is Chinese ambassador to India, and he's the same person who represented China at the BRICS foreign ministers meet. Right now, he has authored this entire article. It is about the recent visit of Donald Trump to the People's Republic of China. Right now, this article focuses on a lot of things, that how the entire global community has perceived this particular visit. But at the same time, we have to understand, abhi Vladimir Putin is in China, right? So Vladimir Putin is in China, and Russia, China have made it absolutely clear that we know what we have to do, we know what we want, and if United States of America cannot provide those things, then we will not compromise. And in this particular context, the most important discussion was about Taiwan. United States of America supplies a lot of arms and ammunition to Taiwan, or for a very long period of time, since 1949, when nationalists formed their government in Taiwan. तब से लेकर के अब तक चाइना कम्युनिस्ट ने चाइना में गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म की और नेशनलिस्ट ने ताइवान में गवर्नमेंट फॉर्म की. Since then, China has always been very firm about one fact, that Taiwan belongs to the territory of or it's an integral part of China. Right now, moving on to the next important point that we have to understand. So since 1972, now, why it is given that, as noted by some Indian media outlets, these leaders' meeting could be the most significant encounter between Chinese and American leaders since Chairman Mao Zedong and President Richard Nixon in 1972. So this particular meeting of 1972 was very relevant. क्यों? क्योंकि 1971 में United Nations ने एक resolution pass किया था, which never gave a status of an independent state to Taiwan. और उसके बाद में ही रिचर्ड निक्सन और माओ जेडोंग का विजिट पॉसिबल हुआ था, राइट? सो दैट्स व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर रेफरेंस इज गिवन. एंड डोनाल्ड ट्रंप वाज आल्सो द लास्ट प्रेसिडेंट हु विजिटेड चाइना इन 2017, राइट? ब्लर स्क्रीन सर, जस्ट ओके. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I'll look into it why the screen is blurred. I think screen is blur. Okay. अभी ठीक है. I'm also watching it on my iPad, but मुझे तो ठीक से चीजें समझ में आ रही हैं. अभी आपको समझ में आ रहा है? अरे प्लीज बता दीजिए, अभी स्क्रीन आपको ठीक ठीक दिख रही है ना? Just give me a thumbs up if your answer is an affirmative. Better. Okay, fine. Now, and Donald Trump was the last US president who visited China in 2017. And since COVID-19, तो Donald Trump ने बहुत ज़्यादा criticize किया था. He said it is not coronavirus, it's China virus because it has originated from a laboratory in Wuhan, right? So this is something which is very interesting. And also, China has made it absolutely clear. That will not compromise when it comes to the issue of Taiwan. So it's better that you should stop arming Taiwan. और Taiwan के president ने कल ही क्या किया? That United States of America should supply more weapons to Taiwan because we need them. We have an imminent threat from China. And let's be very clear about one fact. कि अगर China Taiwan को invade करता है, then under no circumstances Taiwan could defend itself. Because Strait of Taiwan है जो एक water body है which separates China and Taiwan, and China's military might is absolutely huge, right? Whether it comes to their naval capabilities, whether it comes to their army capabilities, or whether it comes to their air capabilities, right? So Taiwan in they have invested thousands of billions of dollars on their military infrastructure, right? So Taiwan could not beat them. So this particular, and after, and you know, a lot of controversy took place around one specific fact कि जो एक छोटा चेयर और बड़ा चेयर का वहां पे एक वो हो गया ना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कि सॉरी जो चाइनीज प्रेसिडेंट थे उन्होंने डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प को बैठने के लिए छोटी कुर्सी दी, राइट? सो दैट इज ऑल्सो वन इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट कि अभी ग्लोबल मीडिया इस चीज को बहुत हाइप कर रही है. फिर अभी रिसेंटली जो भोजशाला Kamal Mala complex. This is a particular. This was a religious complex. It was in the Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. So recently, the Madhya Pradesh High Court has declared that this Bhojshala Kamal Mala complex. It is a part of temple. It's a temple. It's not a mosque, right? It's a temple. It's not a mosque. तो अभी वापस से जो लोग यहाँ पर नमाज वगैरह पढ़ते थे, ठीक है, उनको कोर्ट ने बोला उनको एक अलग से लैंड एलोकेट किया जाए जहां पर अपना वो एक रिलीजियस स्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड करेंगे. बट दिस पर्टिकुलर कॉम्प्लेक्स जिसके अराउंड बहुत सारा डिबेट और डिस्कशन हो रहा था, इट इज अ टेम्पल और वापस से वहां पर फिर से क्या होगा, पूजा वगैरह स्टार्ट हो जाएगी. नाउ लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस वन पर्टिकुलर फैक्ट that when it comes to the religious character of any particular establishment, religious sentiments are very important, right? Because for a very long period of time this Bhojshala Mala complex was considered as a Muslim religious structure, and now finally the Madhya Pradesh High Court has given absolute clarity that it is not a Muslim religious structure. It was a temple and it would be treated as a temple only. So this particular issue right, I was there before the court for a very long period of time. और फिर आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया ने बहुत सारा इस पे रिसर्च वगैरह किया, उसकी एक रिपोर्ट सबमिट की गई. ना आफ्टर गोइंग थ्रू दैट पर्टिकुलर रिपोर्ट, द मध्य प्रदेश हाई कोर्ट हैज रीच्ड टू अ पर्टिकुलर solution that it is basically a temple. And when we talk about the issues related to the religious structure, right, one act is very important and it is known as religious Places of Worship Act 1991. And what is Places of Worship Act 1991? So the main objective of Students Places of Worship Act 1991 is to freeze the status of all रिलीजियस इंस्टीट्यूशन जो 15th of August 1947 को किसी भी रिलीजियस इंस्टीट्यूशन का स्टेटस था. सो एज पर द प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट 1991, I didn't get this editorial. Which one, Vivek? You just highlight which one you didn't get. I'll explain it to you. Right. So basically, so this Places of Worship Act 1991 made one thing very clear, that the religious status of every religious establishment which was on 15th of August 1947, वो religious status उसका maintained रहेगा. उस religious status पे कोई भी फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. It was made clear through this Places of Worship Act 1991. Now अब बेसिकली क्या होगा, दिस इज अगेंस्ट द स्पिरिट ऑफ प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट 1991. सो दे विल गो टू दिस, दे विल अप्रोच टू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया एंड अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स विल हैपन. नाउ आई विल एक्सप्लेन जस्ट टू पैसेज ऑफ दिस आर्टिकल एंड यू विल अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग given in this article, right? That's the beauty of the second editorial, that you don't have to read the entire article, right? You don't have to remember any statistics which is given in this particular article. Just focus on the important principles which are there in this particular article. So students, this particular article talks about that how electronic vehicles or electric vehicles could solve the problem of the supply of crude oil, how electronic vehicles could replace the current ecosystem of vehicles which run on petrol and diesel. So at this point of time, India has almost 42 crore registered vehicles. 42 crore. अब ये पूरा जो आर्टिकल है स्टूडेंट, वो एक सिंपल सी प्रॉब्लम पे फोकस कर रहा है. इलेक्ट्रिकल, द आइडिया ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स इज वेरी गुड, बट एट द सेम टाइम वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड what acts as a fuel for the electric vehicles. Anyone who would like to answer my question? What acts as a fuel for these electric vehicles? Electricity. And the supply of energy is very important. So when we are talking about replacing these petroleum, the vehicles which run on petroleum and diesel, petrol and diesel, we also have to think about how we could procure more and more electricity for these electronic vehicles, right? So this entire article mainly focuses on the same thing that 2047 तक अगर हम ये assume करके चले कि इंडिया का जो अभी व्हीकल्स है उसका 50% भी रिप्लेस हो जाएगा. सो आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ सो बेसिकली आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया क्या करता है, वो किसी भी साइट का पूरा रिसर्च और स्टडी करके उसको उस पर जो रिपोर्ट होती है वो प्रोवाइड करते हैं हाई कोर्ट या सुप्रीम कोर्ट को, और फिर वो वहां पर ये चीज बताते हैं कि हिस्टोरिकली जो ये पूरी साइट थी वो उसका मतलब वो क्या थी एक्चुअली में, वेदर इट वाज अ टेंपल और अ मॉस्क, राइट. वो आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया बताते हैं क्योंकि बिकॉज दे आर एन एक्सपर्ट इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया. तो बेसिकली ये आर्टिकल इसी चीज पे फोकस कर रहा है कि अगर हम ये अज्यूम करके चलें कि 50% व्हीकल्स रिप्लेस हो जाएंगे इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल से 2047 तक, तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स वुड अमाउंट टू और विल रिक्वायर 1/3 ऑफ इंडियाज टोटल इलेक्ट्रिसिटी डिमांड. मतलब 33% डिमांड सिर्फ और सिर्फ इलेक्ट्रिसिटी की कहां से होगी, इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल से, राइट. सो दैट कैन क्रिएट अ प्रॉब्लम. सो बेसिकली द एंटायर thing that we have to understand that energy security is very important, and if you don't have the energy security, now decoding the Musk versus Altman verdict, right. So this now basically we have to I'll tell you this article in very detail, बहुत brief में और बहुत अच्छे से मैं आपको इस पूरे आर्टिकल को explain कर दूंगा within 2 minutes. You will understand everything. So OpenAI is a company जिसका प्रोडक्ट है चैट जीपीटी, जिसे हम सब लोग यूज करते हैं. The founder of this company was Mr. Sam Altman, and when this particular company was established, it was established as a non-profit organization. That profit would never be an objective of this particular organization. This was the sole purpose of this organization OpenAI. Now basically they wanted to serve the cause of the humanity, but with the change in time, with the more companies coming in the artificial intelligence domain, the competition was huge and it was cutthroat, because all these commercial companies which were coming which were getting into the artificial intelligence sector, they were coming with a lot of investment, they had a lot of money. So at that particular point, OpenAI realized that if they want to sustain, or if they want to survive the market pressure or the market situation, then they have to commercialize themselves, because until and unless they commercialize themselves, they will never have that kind of funding. So from being a non-profit organization to a profit organization, the status of this company changed. Now Sam Altman was the founder and Elon Musk was one of the earliest, one of the first investors in OpenAI. He invested approximately $38 million. So now this particular petition was regarding the status of the OpenAI, कि भाई आपने पहले बोला that you are non-profit organization and now you are saying we are a profit organization. So the argument which was given by the company, to sustain in the market, to survive the market pressure, we have to change the status, because a lot of companies are coming in the same domain and they are coming with a huge investment. So just to counter the pressure of the market, we have to do this. और अभी जो ये petition file की थी एलॉन मस्क ने, इसको ज्यूरी ने क्या किया, इसको बोला कि आप घर जाइए, आप हर चीज पे पिटिशन ही फाइल करते रहते हैं, राइट. देन नाउ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ जस्टिस हैव ड्रॉप्ड ऑल चार्जेस ऑफ bribe against Gautam Adani, and Gautam Adani has promised that he will invest $10 billion in the US economy, right. So that is something which is very important, which we have to understand, that charges has been dropped, and a promise is made that we'll invest $10 billion. So yeah, this is quite good for Mr. Adani, of course. Now US may need to attack Iran again if no deal is reached, says Trump. Just another day, just another statement from Mr. Trump. Now I think in my entire life of 26 years, I have not seen a person, I'm yet to meet a person जिसके stand इतनी तेजी से change होते हैं. राइट अभी उन्होंने बोला कि ट्यूसडे को बहुत सारी जो मिडिल ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज हैं उन्होंने मेरे पे प्रेशर बनाया, तब मैंने डिसाइड किया दैट आई विल नॉट अटैक ईरान. ओ कम ऑन, दिस इज नॉट हैपनिंग, राइट. ये ऐसे तो डोनाल्ड ट्रम्प, राइट, ओ दिस इज नॉट हैपनिंग, राइट, ओ आई विल नॉट अटैक ईरान. एंड नाउ ही इज मेकिंग a statement that if no deal is reached, then we are absolutely prepared to attack on Iran. Now, सर ये ट्रम्प का रोज का है. रैन आफ्टर दिस क्लास विल सॉल्व 10 क्वेश्चंस, राइट. सो दैट्स आवर डेली प्रैक्टिस, दैट आफ्टर एवरी क्लास वी सॉल्व 10 क्वेश्चंस, राइट. सो सर ये ट्रम्प का रोज का है. Charges on Adani, why? Because Department of Justice felt there was no substance in the charges which were leveled against Mr. Adani, right? So students, this is something which is very interesting and we have to understand. Now I find Donald Trump very funny, right? मैं तो बहुत मतलब मैं उसका हर एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस को फॉलो करता हूँ, right? You get a lot of comic material, comedy material from those press conferences, right? And how he approaches the world geopolitics, the kind of word that he uses in his press conferences, those are not apt for a global leader like Mr. Trump. But right, but again, he is Donald Trump, and you have to expect these kind of things from him, right? Now, moving on to the next point, and then Qatar has said that US and Iran needs more time to negotiate. Everyone knows they need this entire century to negotiate on the peace terms. And this entire idea of Gaza peace board, which was suggested by Mr. Donald Trump to stabilize the situation in Gaza, is now under is under a lot of stress, and the reason is very simple. So basically, this board of peace is headed by Mr. Trump only. He is the head of board of peace. और इसमें $70 billion का इनका पूरा एस्टिमेट था कि वी नीड $70 billion टू रिकंस्ट्रक्ट द गाजा अगेन. नाउ अभी $17 billion का प्लेज किया था जितने भी मेंबर्स थे जिन्होंने बोर्ड ऑफ पीस को ज्वाइन किया था, और वो $17 billion उन लोगों ने प्लेज किए थे, उसका एक बहुत स्मॉल पोर्शन आया है. इट फील्स लाइक अ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस एंड मोर लाइक अ सरप्राइज surprise season finale. Exactly, right, that you don't know what will happen. It's like Pandora's box, anything can come. It's like Mr. Beast is saying ki $10,000 or the mystery box, so you choose mystery box, and every time you open the mystery box a new statement comes out from that mystery box, right? So अभी ये जो $17 billion प्लेस किए गए थे गाजा पीस बोर्ड के लिए, उसमें से जो मेंबर्स हैं उन्होंने वो अभी फंड कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं किया, ठीक है. Then in the sports section we have nothing relevant. It's all about IPL. So now students, let's talk about the most important part of our daily routine, and this is about the test. So let's start with this test, and this test is related to BRICS summit. Now let me tell you one thing. In 2026 India is hosting BRICS summit. For that specific reason, this topic is very important. And on 14th and 15th of May 2026, India hosted BRICS foreign ministers meeting, right? So now I'll start with the discussion. You have to answer all the questions in the comment section, and at the end of the day you have to like the video as well, right? Because see, consistency requires a lot of discipline. Consistency and discipline are we can use them simultaneously. So if we are doing it for last 20 days regularly, so now you have to like just drop your comments, you have to like the video. Now let's start with this particular question. Now, so the first question that we have with us is, Brazil handed over the symbolic BRICS presidency gavel to India, marking the commencement of India's leadership year. What material was explicitly used to craft this symbolic gavel to underscore the theme of sustainability? So last year it was Brazil जो ब्रिक्स समिट को होस्ट कर रहा था. अभी आपको ये बताना है कि जब ब्रिक्स प्रेसिडेंसी उन्होंने इंडिया को शिफ्ट की, I'll answer this question, Vaishnavi. That's a wonderful question. Now I'll answer that question. Just give me 5 minutes. Let's discuss this test, and after that I'll ask this. But I'll answer this question, right? For sure, I'll answer this question. So वो gavel क्या होता है कि वो gavel आप presidency जब transfer करते हैं, then you have to transfer the gavel. तो आपको ये बताना है कि वो gavel किस element का बना था, किस substance का बना था. The first one is reclaimed teak from the Western Ghats, recycled wood from the Amazon rainforest, certified bamboo from the Northeast region, and recycled ocean plastic from the Atlantic coast. Question number 1. Anyone who'd like to answer question number 1? So basically, अगर ब्राजील की बात हम कर रहे हैं तो वो गेवल किस चीज का बना होगा? Something from Amazon rainforest. So it was made from the recycled wood from the Amazon rainforest. So for question number 1, the correct answer is option B. I'll answer this question, Vaishnavi. You should wait for a minute. I'll answer this question, and you will be more than happy to listen that particular or to hear that answer. Right, now we'll move to question number 2. India formally launched the official logo and website for its BRICS presidency. What is the precise official theme designated for the BRICS summit? So in September 2026 we'll host BRICS Leaders Summit. अभी हम अलग अलग मिनिस्ट्रीज की समिट होस्ट कर रहे हैं. आपको ये बताना है BRICS Summit का थीम क्या है. ऑप्शन ए फॉस्टरिंग हाई क्वालिटी BRICS पार्टनरशिप. ऑप्शन बी बिल्डिंग फॉर रेजिलियंस इनोवेशन कोऑपरेशन एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी. ऑप्शन सी intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation and consensus, and option D, BRICS and Africa partnership for mutually accelerated growth. So these are your 4 options. Which is the correct option for question number 2? For question number 2, the correct answer is B. Theme is building for resilience, innovation, cooperation and sustainability. Now we'll move to question number 3. The membership of the BRICS bloc has undergone successive expansion since its inception. Which of the following countries formally joined the grouping as a full member in the year 2025? Question number 3. So now BRICS and BRICS plus BRICS has 10 members in total. BRICS has 10 members in total. So you have to tell me in 2025 which was the last country to join BRICS. Saudi Arabia, UAE, इंडोनेशिया और अर्जेंटीना. सो हेवियर मिलाई के प्रेसिडेंट बनने के बाद अर्जेंटीना ड्रॉप्ड द एम्बिशन टू जॉइन ब्रिक्स. So Argentina is not the answer. Saudi Arabia is yet to formalize its membership for BRICS. So out of United Arab of Emirates and Indonesia, which is the correct answer? So for question number 3, students, the correct answer is Indonesia. Indonesia is the latest member to join the group in 2025. Right. Now moving on to this next part. The new development bank was established by BRICS nation to mobilize resources for infrastructure and sustainable development. Which of the following nation is noted as the newest member to join the new development bank? Which is the latest member to join new development bank? Option A, Bangladesh. Option B, Algeria. Option C, Egypt. And option D, United Arab of Emirates. Question number 4. The correct answer for question number 4 is Algeria. Algeria joined it in 2025. Algeria joined it in 2025. Bangladesh and UAE joined in 2021. Egypt joined it in 2023. Algeria joined it in 2025. So Algeria is the latest member to join New Development Bank. Now we'll move to question number 5. The founding member states of the New Development Bank each held equal voting shares of 20% at its establishment according to the institutional rules. The founding members are guaranteed to retain a minimum of what percentage of the institution's total voting rights even as new members are inducted? Question number 5. जो नए मेंबर्स के आ जाने के बाद भी जो पुराने मेंबर्स रहेंगे उनके पास में कितने वोटिंग राइट्स रहेंगे रिटेन, कितने परसेंट? 51%, ऑप्शन बी 55%, ऑप्शन सी 60% एंड ऑप्शन डी 75%. Question number 5. Anyone who would like to answer question number 5? So for question number 5, the correct answer is option B. Even after new members are inducted or new members will join New Development Bank, old members, as per the rules of this New Development Bank, old members will still retain 55% of the voting rights in total. Science, technology, and innovation cooperation was formally recognized and injected into the BRICS agenda during the third BRICS summit, which culminated in a historic declaration. Where was this summit held? So, third BRICS summit held in 2011. And let me tell you a very important fact. In 2009, first formal summit took place in Yekaterinburg, Russia. Then in 2010, South Africa joined the summit. And in 2011, first BRICS summit after South Africa joined the group, right? So, and during third BRICS summit, a specific organization or a specific declaration was adopted related to science, technology, and innovation. You have to tell me where the third summit took place. Kazan, Russia; Sanya, China; Rio de Janeiro, Brazil; Yekaterinburg, Russia. Anyone who would like to answer question number 6? Question number 6. For question number 6, Kazan रशिया में 2023 में ब्रिक्स समिट हुआ था. 2024 it was Brazil, and 2024 it was Russia, 2025 it was Brazil, 2026 it is India. So for question number 6, the correct answer is option B, Sanya, China. Now please remember this, South Africa के ज्वाइन करने के बाद जो पहली सबमिट हुई थी, that took place in Sanya, China. Now moving on to the next point of our discussion, students. Question number 7. During India's previous leadership, the nation spearheaded the BRICS Innovation Action Plan. The period witnessed a landmark intergovernmental agreement designed to bypass reliance on Western space agencies for Earth observation data. What did this agreement establish? So basically हम Western countries पर जो हमारा satellite data को लेकर के reliance था, उसको reduce करने के लिए we developed a framework. Now, what did this agreement establish? तो इस agreement के through हमने क्या establish किया था? BRICS Global Navigation Satellite System, BRICS Deep Space Exploration Network, BRICS Remote Sensing Satellite Constellation, and option D, iBRICS Quantum Telecommunication Link. Question number 7. Who would like to answer question number 7? So basically for question number 7, the correct answer is option C, BRICS Remote Sensing Satellite Constellation. Right, and what was this BRICS Remote Sensing Satellite Constellation? So basically it was a constellation, it was a group of satellites, जिसकी वजह से हम क्या करते हैं कि जो हमारा structural reliance है western sites पर वो हमारा कम हो जाता है. Sir, Saudi is a part of BRICS, there are 11 members. No, Vivek, Saudi Arabia is yet to formalize its membership for BRICS. So because in 2025 when Donald Trump became the president, Saudi Arabia gave a lot of attention to United States of America, and for a very long period of time United States of America has never liked BRICS, right? So on the official website as well, Saudi Arabia is yet to formalize its membership for BRICS. So the total membership is 10. ठीक है, so Vivek, the correct answer would be 10, right? For question number 7, the correct option is option 7. Now we'll move to question number 8. BRICS Sherpas serve as designated leaders representing their respective nations and function as the primary channel of communication within the bloc. Who is the Indian current BRICS Sherpa? So BRICS Sherpa कौन होते हैं? जो जितने भी member nations होते हैं उनके बीच में जो intergovernmental communication होता है, वो that communication took place through these BRICS Sherpa. And current Indian, who is the current Indian BRICS Sherpa? So we have 4 options. Option A, Jim O'Neill, Sudhakar Dalela, Amitav Kant, and S. Jaishankar. So for question number 8, the correct option is option B, Sudhakar Dalela is India's BRICS Sherpa. Jim O'Neill was the person who coined the term BRIC in 2001. Amitav Kant is related to Niti Aayog, and S. Jaishankar is basically India's External Affairs Minister. So just guys, wait for a minute. I have to answer that question of Vaishnavi. So Vaishnavi, you should, my suggestion would be, we still have, today is the 20th of May 2026, we still have almost 201 days. 201 days are more than enough to crack CLAT examination any day. So you have time, Now coming back to, you want to say you should take some cheap coaching. So I'll tell you one thing, it's your life, you will appear for this examination this year. So I would suggest you ki, you should join 12 minutes to CLAT. The first one is, we are also very affordable and we provide exactly the same things which are needed to clear CLAT examination, and these things are mentorship, mocks, and proper classes and content, right? We have this batch. You can visit the website of 12 minutes to CLAT, and the link is given in the description, and from there you can search for the different batches. So recently we have launched Prahar batch, right? Prahar batch for CLAT and AILET 2027 aspirant, and you can see all the specifications there of this batch, and the batch is very affordable, right? And see, when it comes to your career, you should never think about the monetary aspect of anything, much about the monetary aspect. If there is a huge difference, then you can think about it. If there is a minor difference now, then you should never think about that, bache, right? So this is all about today's session, everyone. If you have liked it, then do. If you like the session, then please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:45 in the morning. Because of some operational issues, we could not have this session at 7:45 in the morning. So this is all about today's session. If you have any question, then you may drop your question in the comment section. I'll definitely answer your questions. And if you have any suggestions, comments, you just drop it in the comment section. I'll answer each and everything, right? तो अब आप बता दीजिए, किसी का कोई सवाल है, जवाब है, तो आप अपना कमेंट सेक्शन में बता सकते हैं. विल रैप अप दिस सेशन बाय सेइंग just just one thing, it's your life and you have absolutely every right to make it ultra large. This is your you are in your late teenage, and you will be entering into a college. जब आप अपने adulthood में enter करेंगे, so it becomes very important to have a good company when you are in your early adulthood. That's why a good college is very important. So I'll just say one thing कि सैर कर दुनिया की गाफिल, जिंदगानी फिर कहाँ, जिंदगी अगर कुछ रही तो ये जवानी फिर कहाँ. This is your time, this is your moment. Incentivize upon it. जितना हार्ड वर्क कर सकते हैं उतना हार्ड वर्क करिए. अल्टीमेटली इट विल बेनिफिट यू एंड इट्स योर लाइफ. यू हैव एब्सोल्युटली एवरी राइट to achieve everything in your life. It's just not about daydreaming, it's also about giving every drop of your blood and sweat to this particular exam. On that note, we will wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. Till then, bye bye. Take a good care of yourself, keep yourself hydrated, and yes, take a good care of yourself and your mental well-being. Bye everyone. On a count of 3, we'll wrap up today's session. 1, 2, 3. Bye everyone.